This is a project. Hello, I'm Damien. This is a project I saw. Family pictures in a tree, and I thought, well, how do they do it? And I thought, well, I can do that using Gimp, which is a free program, photo editing program, which has layers, so I can put one picture behind another and one on top of the next, and then make a mask, or think of it like a paper cutout that I lay over it, the same shape as the tree, and you only see the picture stops where the layout is. So think of it as putting a square piece of paper over a bunch of pictures, and you'll only see the part where the cutout is. Okay. So let's get into it and how this is made. The program I'm using is Gimp. Very quickly, Gimp, if you search in a search engine for GIMP, you'll come up with Gimp, GNU image manipulation program. It works in Linux, Mac, Windows. It's a free program. It has tutorials on their website. It has free tutorials on YouTube, lots of them. Just type in Gimp and then what you want to do. If you haven't already got it, you would click on download, and it will work out what operating system you're using and give you the opportunity to download it. So I'd suggest that you download and install it. While I'm on this page, I did this the first time with actual family pictures, and I thought, well, actually for their privacy, I better just get some royalty-free pictures off the internet, and I use this website called Upsplash. All these pictures are royalty-free, and yeah, easy to download. So let's get on with it. So I've already downloaded Gimp, so I could open up Gimp and then go File, Open, or I can right-click on a file. So right-click on a file and then say Open with Gimp. So I suggest that you put all your pictures that you want to use. Like, you might put 40, 50 pictures there and only use 20 of them, or 25, whatever it happens to be. But put a copy, not the originals, put a copy into a folder where you're going to get the pictures from. Now, I can open this by right-clicking and saying Open with Gimp. Your screen might be dark. I used a light background so that you can see, read, like where it says File, Edit, so on and so on. By default, it's in dark mode. Either way, it works nicely. Now, I've got a picture of a tree here, and what I want to do is cut out the area around it and make that into a white mask which fits exactly around the shape of the tree. So what we do is we use the select tool and we say select by color and click on this transparent area, which is what these hashes represent. And notice it selected all this area here. So at the moment the outside area is selected, so I'm going to go edit, copy, edit, paste as, new layer. So I now have two layers. I have this original layer and this layer above. I'm going to fill the outside area here with white. I might just get the eraser. I can just see a couple of little spots in here which I want to get rid of. I'll just leave them. So what I'm going to do is use the bucket fill. So it's like tipping a bucket of paint. So everywhere outside this selection is going to get whatever color I put in there. So I've got this set up to put in white. I can change the color easily if I want to, but I'm just going to drop white around it. And you'll see now that I've got a white background. So I have two images. Think of this as a paper cutout on top. This is a layer list. Anything higher up on this list covers over anything that's down below. So this is one layer. I can turn it off, the visibility of it, and click on the next one. And here's the next layer. Okay. I'm going to go select none to get rid of that selection around the outside. And let's have I will do one other thing while I'm here with both of these images. I don't want to be able to drag the picture around and have it no longer line up with the mask that goes over top of it. So this thing here, it says lock. Okay, now I can see a little no-go symbol next to the pointer. So I can't move that one. I can't move that one. Okay, all good. That just stops me making a mistake. Right, so let's get putting some pictures in. And what we want to do is put the pictures between the bottom layer, the tree, and the mask on top. So let's drag a picture in. Yep. This one. And drag it down onto the Gimp icon on the taskbar and back up into the middle. And you will see that when I put the picture in, anywhere where the mask above it is covering it, if I turn off that mask, right, there it is off, there it is on, right, so it fits in really nicely in there, right, so all the white is, think of it as a paper mask. So now it's too big. So we're going to mainly use two tools, the move tool and the scale tool. By default, this used to be right beside itself there, so I'm just going to drag that so those two things sort of end up one above the other. Right, so there's the move and there's the scale. So I want to scale this, which means change its size. So I click on that and I can drag it down and let it go and say scale. I then need to go back to move and move it to where I want it. I'll grab another picture. Grab her. Grab it, drag it onto the picture. Notice once again too big, so I go scale, click on it, hold the mouse down, left hand mouse button down, and drag it to where I want it. I can click in the middle without having to go back to move and drag it where I like it. You'll notice that as I drag, it takes the proportions up and down. That's because in scale, this chain lock is on. If it's not on, I can really muck up the picture by dragging it from one of the sides or whatever, and it will, she'll end up really skinny, really fat, whatever. Absolutely not what you want to do with people photos. Now, notice it's outside the, oh, no, it's in between the two things, so it's in the right place. This is the whole idea of layers. So see how that picture's over the top of that one? If I want it the other way round, I can move that picture above that one. Right, so that picture's showing above the one next to it. So scale. So I might lift that up a bit. I'll grab another picture. I might stick one on the trunk. So let's grab a picture to stick on the trunk. And this nice black and white one here. I'll grab that. I will drag it here. I can drop it anywhere. Doesn't matter where I drop it. Once again, I'm going to resize it by scaling it. Scale. Click on move and put it where I want it. Notice it's above the tree trunk at the moment. I need to put the mask above it so that she fits inside the tree trunk. So like that. All right. And that is the whole idea. And you just keep grabbing pictures. From a practical point of view, if like if you've got 50 pictures there and you don't want to think about which ones you've already used, just create a folder called used and then get the ones that you've used so far and drag them into the used folder, right? So that, you know, it becomes easier to work out what you've used and what you haven't. So grabbing another picture, dragging it onto the tree, dropping it. I will move it over here somewhere and scale it. Put the masking over top of it, above it. So let's have a look at that. I can move it a bit more. That's the idea. And just put the pictures however you like them. And the only other thing to do is put some text underneath here, so if you want. So we're going to grab the text tool and write some text under here. I've chosen Segoe print, S-E-G-O-E. I can change my font. My fonts are listed over here. On yours it might be on the left hand side. But if I click on the font thing here, I've got lots of different fonts on my machine. I'm going to stick with this one. It's a nice casual type of writing. Now, started typing and I can't see any text. I can see the font color here is white and the background color is white. So what's wrong with this picture? I need to make the font a different color. So if I go back and change that font to black, then start typing, this text is a bit big. I'll just make that smaller in a minute. Okay, so I'm just going to make it smaller. I'm just using holding down the shift key and using the back arrow to select that text. If I just change the font size without selecting it, it would only apply to stuff I typed after that. So there I am, I'm reducing the font size. Yep, that looks good. I can change its location. I can, oops, Control Z will undo the last thing you just did. I'm going to drag that over a little bit. That looks good to me. If I click somewhere else, so on another layer, right, there it is there. And what I haven't done yet, which I probably should have done sooner, was save the project. Now, if I typed and still couldn't see the text, even though I knew it was black, this will sometimes happen. What it can be is the text is underneath the mask, right? So the white is covering the text. So once you put your text in, make sure it stays above that outside mask if the text is in this outside area. Now, we've done all this work. We really want to save it. So we go File, Save. I'm going to go File, Save As so I don't muck up my existing work, but I'm going to, but you would just go File, Save the first time, and we will call it Tree Practice. You know, you might call it Family Tree or something like that. Family Practice, Tree Practice 2. And what this does, this saves in, you can choose whereabouts you want to save it, but it saves it with an extension of XCF, which is the extension for the project, right? It's for the Gimp, right? In PowerPoint, in Photoshop, it would be PSD. In this, it's XCF. So saving saves the project, so you can come back to it. So if I closed this and wanted to come back later and put pictures in it, I'd open up the XCF file. Now, if I wanted to make this, to be able to share this, you don't share the XCF file because people would need Gimp to view it. Normally, most pictures you share are going to be as probably JPEG. So you go File, instead of Save, you go Export. And this is the same in Photoshop. So here it's saying it's going to export it as a PNG because the original picture was PNG, but I'm going to say I want to export it as JPEG, JPG. Right? It's the same name as the project itself, and I say export. I would always save it 100%. You can always make it smaller later, but there's no point losing information in the early stages of this. So, when you want to share the JPEG, you can make it smaller then. So, export. And when I go to my files, so I would have done, normally once I'd put the tree in, I would do my first save and name the project. So then I can just do Control S and save as I go along, instead of coming up here and going File, Save, just Control S would let me save. The same in other Windows programs. So it's probably Command S on a Mac. So let's have a look at what it's created. So I now have a project called Tree Practice 2, and I have a picture called a JPEG called Tree Practice 2. So if I open up that JPEG, there it is, right? Ready to be saved with people. Like, you know, you would fill it in. You can put as many, make the pictures smaller, put as many as you want on. I've got a lot of white space around it to be able to, if I want to crop it into a square or print it and put it onto a canvas or something. I need 40 mil around all the edges to put it on a canvas, so it gives me plenty of space to do that. If I was sharing on Facebook or something, I might crop it and just get just around the tree, right, without a lot of white space. But that is essentially it. Like, you just keep adding pictures, scale them down to size if they're too big, scale them up if they're too small, and then position them on the tree as you would like. I hope you've enjoyed that. And here's like an example. You know, it's not ideal. I would do it with a lot more pictures and so on, but it's enough to give you the idea of how to do this project. Thank you for watching, and give it a go. Have fun. It's a good thing to do. Bye.